Yeah, mine was literally just a picture of my dad with some more wrinkles around his eyes than he had in real life. But it's always been that way. So if you and Kelly did meet my dad. So for you guys who've never seen my dad in person, well, he's dead now, you can't. But who saw him while he was alive?
We're not doing a
Uh,
show yet.
oh, I thought this was the show.
No, no, no.
Oh,
That'd have been a very creative opening. I can see why
yeah,
you.
I thought that was the. I thought you were leading into something with it.
No,
I was
no,
like, all
not
right,
at
let's do
all.
this.
Not at all. So I think everybody knows that the greatest kind of visual execution on the Atari 2600 is Mike's session on the 2600 cartridge. And it's a thing of art. But, there were also these game developers who did stuff with not quite as sophisticated cards stuck in the cartridge as Mike and I did using Movie Cart, which is awesome, by the way. You should watch that episode. Pretty cool stuff. But came across a video on a YouTube channel called Game the Systems, and he had ranked the top, in his opinion, based on severe scientific research, the top 10 most visually appealing Atari 2600 games. I know most of you are probably going, oh, good, they're going to go through another list and it's going to be an hour-long show. No, we're not going to do that. We're just maybe comment about one or two that are on the list, include a link to it in the description. You can check it out yourself. Come across if there were anything else we thought was maybe missed and discuss that as well. So overall, as you observed the list, how did you feel about it, Mike?
I got angrier and angrier with each entry because I felt like they were so far away from what I felt was the best graphics on the system. And I was just, for whatever reason, didn't think it was going to be on the list. So I was just like, how is he ranking these and doesn't know about this game? Like I was getting mad, like it wasn't, and it ended up being number one. So it was a wide range of emotions for me going through this video.
Yeah, I thought, and the other thing I found interesting is Jungle Hunt and Pitfall 1 and 2 are all on this list. I probably wouldn't bicker a ton about their presence on the list. I wouldn't actually bicker at all in terms of 2600 stuff, but they're all kind of the same game. I mean, I think the things that have been accomplished there, I think you could have picked Pitfall 2 as probably the most advanced of that. I just kind of felt the other two were unnecessary after you had Pitfall 2, which was way up on the list. And I agree.
Yeah, I agree with Pitfall 2 being on there, definitely. So I remember I grew up with NES. Like that was the big system when I was a kid. But 2600 was not far in the past, so everybody still actively played 2600 games in the early 80s. So even though they weren't the reigning champ anymore once the Nintendo took over, everybody had their 2600s. My uncle gave me his 2600 that I had for a while until it finally gave way. It was battered when I got it. I was lucky to get out of it whatever I did. But there was games that I absolutely loved on the system. It was never a visually impressive system to me, but again, I understood it was older hardware. So even as a kid, like that didn't bother me. As much as I loved games with cool graphics, like I understood a good game was more important than a flashy looking game. And there's just so many great games on the 2600. But I actually didn't come to the number one spot, which I try and tell so many people about because even playing it now, even seeing what amazing stuff people are doing with homebrew games, and he didn't include any homebrew games, which I kind of understand because just like you mentioned with Movie Cart, there's just technology that is so much more advanced now that you can add on to your 2600 cartridge to make it do things that would have been incomprehensible back when it originally launched, like playing full motion video and things like that. So I get not including that stuff, but I would swear that Solaris was like one of those later homebrew games. I actually never played it. I don't know what your experience with it was. I didn't play it until I got the fight stick. And I thought it was wrong because it was under the 2600 games list. And I was like, no, this has to be a 7800 game or even an arcade game. There's no way this was a 2600 game.
Yeah, minimal involvement until the Super Console X, and it is striking. Kind of feels a lot different than about anything else. Hero also on the list provided. Um, doesn't come quite as close. It doesn't come close necessarily to excelling as much. It is a pretty cool. It is one that at least makes you pause for a moment and go, "Hmm, is this a 2600 game?" But yeah, Source is super great. I'm mildly disappointed, but we'll accept Pigs in Space not being on there. And I guess maybe because it's highly repetitive, but I still think Empire Strikes Back is a darn good 2600 game. And I know the um, the landscape doesn't change a lot, in any meaningful way. But you see AT-ATs, and you know they're AT-ATs. You see the A-wing, you know it's an A-wing, or the cruiser or the scooter. So, um, but overall, I think a pretty decent list. Anything else you would have thought should have been on there? And then, of course, River Raid kind of always gets included in these lists as one of the best Atari games, 2600 games, one of the better one visually. So it made its appearance. And I don't know if it'll happen before this gets published or not, but I'm going to go down. There's another game I have, and the name of it just eludes me that I still think is visually pretty decent, but it's not coming. It wasn't on this list, and my memory's failing me. So if I get a chance, I'll try and find it, and you can react and let me know if you agree or not on that. But any other games that maybe you thought should have been here or not? I know we're big Halloween fans, big Texas Chainsaw Massacre fans. I know there's another game you typically bring up around this time.
Was that
Don't.
Beat 'em and Eat 'em, sir?
Yeah, that. So
So I don't think Beat 'em Eat 'em has great graphics. I mean, it. I will say this: you know exactly what's happening in the game. So in that sense, sure. I agree with you with Empire though. I do think Empire's graphics are simplistic and repetitive, but it's probably the best use of color on the system that I've seen of any game that I've played. It's got a great color palette. The color palette is constantly it's bright and vibrant looking in a way that honestly most games are not. Most games on the especially the early 2600 games are very earth tone heavy, whereas this feels like bright and flashy. So that's really cool. Here's where I will throw out a homebrew game. There's a game that I've discovered that I had been wanting to play for quite a while. And I waited until I had a 2600 and could buy a copy and support the homebrew developer. It's a game called Spies in the Night that did not disappoint in any way. Not only does the game look really cool, it's honestly one of the best video games I've ever played. Not just for 2600, just one of the best, period. And Spies in the Night 2 is out now. So that's high on my list of games to get. But it's sort of the video game equivalent of like a movie like Evil Dead, where they just took the extremely low budget and minimal supplies that they had and made it work for the movie. Spies in the Night uses a very simple game setup and design for everything that you could possibly wring out of that. So I know why you didn't include homebrew games, but I would have included
yeah, I'm not sure. Again, I guess he was just going off of actually released stuff, but
that.
and he certainly has the ability to undo a future list, top 10 uh, visually appealing homebrew games, which there are a lot of good choices out there on that. Hey, let us know in the comments if you've had a chance to see this video, if there's other ones that you felt should have been on there that weren't, or ones that shouldn't have been on the list. Um, and if you want to join, help supporting pigs in space, we can maybe write some letters. I don't know, but uh, but yeah, I still think it's tough on Empire because I think you're dead on that in terms of from a color perspective, which is one of the ways they kind of distinguish between levels and movement and all that. Um, is nice and much different and much more vibrant than the typical Toy 600 game. And the visual signaling on when your ship's in trouble, when AT-AT's in trouble, uh, it's all good. So definitely recommend that one if you have to add it to your list. So anything you'd like to add about the beauty of the 2600?
Nothing else. One of these days we should do our own list of 2600 games.
Top 10 or top 5?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I know it's going to be on your list. Thanks for
Spies in the
watching.
Night.
Yeah, that'll be there too. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Bog Panda.